All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony, a.k.a. Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style, and today we have Miss Diahni with us. Diahni, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with us. You guys, she is currently 19 years old, a motivational speaker, and she is full of passion and just a wealth of motivation for people. I want you guys to stick around to the end, and if you do, you may have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift. So, Diahni, tell us a little bit about you. What is one motivational quote that really inspires you, something that gets you going and encourages you?
Okay, so this is this quote that I saw on Instagram, and it says, Queen, you may not be as whole as you want to be, but you're not as broken as you used to be. Embrace your growth.
That's beautiful. And I truly believe that we all need to embrace our growth because sometimes it's
Yes,
difficult. And if we can't relish in the fact that we are growing as human beings and celebrate our successes and just appreciate where we currently are, it leads a lot to frustration and overwhelm that we don't have time for, right?
right.
Talk
That's
about
very
a
true.
time in your life where you were frustrated, you were overwhelmed, maybe some external circumstances came into play and you didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel to begin with, but at the end of the day, you were able to bring that goal or that dream to fruition.
Okay, so a time where I felt frustrated, overwhelmed, and I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel was when I started my program called Know Your Worth for young girls in Atlanta to come together once a week and talk about topics and discussions that we go through and how we can, come together rather than, going against each other. The first meeting was great. It was it was amazing. Everything went perfect the way I wanted it to. The second meeting was a little harder. Transportation became a problem. The girls who I built the team with, everybody had so much going on that they all, weren't collaborating the way I felt like they should have been. And I felt like I was all doing it on my own. And of course, it was my program. So yes, I should have most of the responsibility, but I, recruited a team because I wanted to have that backup just in case, so I would prevent being overwhelmed. So at that moment, I was overwhelmed. I was frustrated. I was mad. I was a whole lot of emotions put in one. I didn't really see the light at the end of the tunnel because in that same process, I was moving locations, like literally like moving from one home to another home to be able to get ready for school. And I just felt like everything's falling apart. Like every idea and dream that I had was falling apart. But with that came just those two meetings. I came a lot of exposure, a lot of people wanting to work with me, a lot of people seeing my dream and my vision and wanting to use that and like liking what I was doing. And I just felt like, okay, it wasn't not it was worth something, like it wasn't just for nothing. Like even if I had to put it on pause, it's still worth something right now because now I have so many girls who want to be a part of it when I do get it back together. So it's like I still have what I worked for or have that dream and that idea that I worked for. So
Yeah, and sometimes we put forth a lot of effort into accomplishing something, and at the end of the day, we say, "Man, well, that didn't really work out the way I wanted it to work out,"
right,
but we may have gotten something else out of it, and sometimes that something else is even better than what our
right,
original expectation was.
right.
So sometimes just appreciating what is going on at a specific season is enough sometimes to push us to that next level, even if it's totally something different than what we had initially expected. I found that in many situations in my life. Can you talk about your intention with your social media presence? Because your presence is growing. You're on almost all social media platforms, and
Yes,
you have a message that you want to put out there into the world. And it's something that is probably going to stick with you forever because you're passionate about it. So, what was your
yes.
initial intention with being a influencer online? And what are your next steps with that?
Well, first, my initial intention with being a influencer, motivational speaker, public figure, however you put it, is like to keep pushing that message that us as girls and women, of course, could come together and support each other and compliment each other, and that it's not a competition.
Yeah.
It's not a competition, you know? And if I can post quotes that represent that, if I could tell my stories, you know, to just get some kind of inspiration to those out there, if I can go to these events and host these events and, you know, get these girls together, then I can just keep showcasing that, you know, this is the message that I'm trying to put out there. Like, that's my whole passion, bringing our young queens together. And my next steps with that is to start, you know, giving myself more on my social media platform. Like, of course, you have pictures of me, you see me, you know, on a daily basis here and there, but like more and more exposure, you know, like more of me. Because,
Right.
you know, someone told me, like, you know, your Instagram is great, but we don't know you. And
Right.
once they told me that, my whole vision changed of my whole social media platform. Like, I have to relate more to those who I'm trying to connect to, rather than put something out there and expect them to just receive it, you know?
Right.
Because
Right.
they could be like, well, 100 people are sending this message, so what makes you qualified to tell us this, you know? So
Right.
that's my whole thing, being more just open and more telling my story more, getting the confidence to even tell my stories and, you know, put it out there for people to see.
So what is something, let's practice right now. What is something about yourself that you haven't necessarily shared that you would love to be able to convey today? Something that could inspire women or younger people in your generation.
Something about me that I haven't shared that I am working on sharing at the moment and getting it together is how I came about with the whole Know Your Worth program, how I came about with the whole concept, and what happened to me for me to want to do this so badly. You know, only reason I'm not really saying it is because it's still a sneak peek. I want it to be a
Okay.
surprise to everybody, but
Okay.
I like the story that I do have, the situation that I was in is the reason for this today. And I think that it's going to be a big shocker to a lot of people. I think that a lot of people are going to be like, wow, like, I didn't know that happened to her. But I'm ready for it to be that message, because I know that that's the last message that I've kind of been holding in, that I haven't put out there because of different reasons, you know, being nervous, being scared, being embarrassed, not knowing what people would say, not knowing how people would take it, you know, not knowing if people will run with that information and use it against me, you know. But I realized that I can't think about those things, because it's not just about me when I tell it. It's about everybody. It's about every person who's been there or who's going there, or who went there, you know, with me. So
So we're gonna have a part two. So for
yes,
everyone
definitely,
that is viewing today and listening,
definitely.
Diahni is going to put her message out there and put her story out there along with it so that we can get to
Yes,
know her on a deeper level. And it sounds like it's some good stuff.
it is.
I
I hope so.
understand. I completely understand with wanting to hold a little bit in. I'm in a situation right now where there's a book that I want to put out, and I've already, kind of put out segments of it via blogs that I write.
Mm,
I'll put out a little bit in that way, but I haven't gone
right,
into a lot of depth because I want it to be fully complete when I
right.
don't want to put it out there in segments, like piecemeal it. I want
Yeah.
for people to see the whole story in its entirety, in its big picture form. So in the
Right.
meantime, I've been putting a lot of clues and insight in my
Mm,
blog articles so that people can get to know me a little bit better. But
mm.
I completely understand how you want to, make your debut.
Right.
So
Basically.
I can't wait for part two interview. What would you say to people that don't necessarily have a very strong support system? Because as some of your friends and family already know, you kind of put off some things that you had intended on doing after high school to
Right.
pursue this passion. So can you talk a little bit about that and your thought process throughout this experience with putting off some things that certain people expect you to do and instead following your own dream and intuition as to what you really, quote unquote, should be doing at this period in your life?
Right. Okay. So I can touch on this all day. I would really tell anybody who feels like they don't have that support system, you do have that support system because you have yourself and you have God, okay? You have to understand that everybody is not supposed to understand the vision. Everybody's not supposed to understand the path, and you're the only person who has to walk the journey. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can, of course, we expect our parents and our family members and our close friends to be on board with everything that we have going on, or to be on board with any idea that pops in our head. But you have to realize that everybody is not supposed to understand your vision. And when I realized that, I stopped being frustrated. I stopped going back and forth. I stopped trying to convince you to understand. I realized that I just had to do what I had to do regardless. And with that is me, after high school, I intended on being a Georgia State Panther at the age of 18, fall 2017 semester, staying with my best friend, and we're on campus and all of these things. It happened the opposite, the complete opposite. 2 days before school started, I didn't go. I literally went for my classes, and I didn't tell my parents, and I went to Florida. It sounds crazy, but I went to Florida for a 2-week vacation. And, everybody like, what's wrong with her? But it's like, no, I had a reason behind it. I didn't want to struggle in college. I didn't want to not have enough money to pay my tuition. I didn't want it because it wasn't supposed to happen that way. And the fact is that that's what the reality was. And everything that we tried didn't work at the moment. So it was like, you know what? I can't go. I refuse to be one of those kids who struggle in college. I'm not going to be another statistic. I can't go. And I didn't. My parents were furious. They were pissed. Like they were just like, are you crazy? Like, my friends, were looking at me like, why would you give up college? And it's like, I wasn't giving up college, but you have to understand where my mind was. I wasn't ready to struggle. Like, I didn't write scholarships and get all these scholarships and do all these things just to not be able to go for what I was worth. So I didn't go. And it took a while before anybody was on my side. It took a while before anybody was backing me up. It took a while before my parents were coming around and were like, okay, we understand. It took months. But through those months, I had to keep believing that I didn't do this for the wrong reason. I didn't do this for the wrong reason. I didn't do this for the wrong reason. And I think that our minds play the most tricks on us. And I think that when everybody is not with us, we get a little bit discouraged. And that's normal. But you are your support system. And you have to believe in yourself. Expectations can't be for anybody else but you, So you are your support system. And I continue to push that and push that and push that, because it's like, when I realized that, my whole life changed.
Yeah, and one of the things that I always remind people is that you can't expect for people to always understand your vision when a lot of times they don't even understand their own. How are they going to understand your vision and they don't even understand their own? I mean, really let that sink in.
Let that sink all the way.
A lot of times, they're in miserable jobs, miserable relationships. They don't know if they're coming or going. They're stressed out. All of these different factors play a role in them not living the path that they were created to inspire people with.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they choose a different route that is totally opposite to what they really feel as fulfilling and meaningful.
Right.
And they're now trying to tell you, Diahni, you should go to college and do this.
Exactly. But you're not the one who sits the classes. You're not the one who has to go to the financial aid and see the deadline and wonder, oh, how am I going to get this off? So, it may sound, it's not to be rude or not to be, arrogant, but you're not the one who has to do it. So don't tell me what I have to do. And that's kind of the mindset that I had. And I still have it now, honestly. It became stronger now than it was a year ago. But
Yeah.
now I'm taking that mindset with every decision that I make, you know. Of course, I want to hear different opinions. Of course, I want to hear other people's, perspectives, because of course I'm open to learn.
Right.
But, and I'm always going to use that but if I am 100% on board, then that's all that really matters.
Right. Right.
Honestly.
Yeah. And if you're utilizing your gifts
Oh,
and
yeah.
feel excited and passionate
Oh,
and
yeah.
fulfilled with the decisions that you're making, a lot of times you're going in the right direction. It's
Right.
when you live up to other people's
Expectations.
and then you feel like this is not for me, but you're
Not
just doing it because everybody else says this is what you should be doing.
right. And then
What kind of life is that?
exactly. Once you get to that point where you really get that wake up call and realize this is not for me, it may be too late. You may have
Yeah.
wasted too much time. You may be stuck in a situation you can't get out of. That's
Right.
why me at 19, I will encourage every single person of my generation, every one of my peers, do for you, whether that be college, whether that be a job, whether that be where you're moving to, if you're moving in, moving out, do it for you.
Right.
Can't stress it
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, and particularly if you're not hurting anybody in the process.
Oh,
If
yeah.
if you're doing you and everybody around you is gonna be safe regardless,
Oh, yeah.
that's telling that is probably something that you should consider.
That you should consider doing. I mean, like I said, look at me. A year ago in this week, I was depressed. I was torn apart. I was confused because I didn't know how I was paying for college. I didn't know where I was staying. I didn't know how I was getting books on this day a year ago. And I'm standing here today. I'm an entrepreneur. I own multiple things of my own. I'm an inspiration. I'm speaking at events. I'm getting booked every day. I'm making money, but in another way besides, working regular at 19.
Right,
I never
right.
saw this a year ago, but that
Yeah.
decision I made is why I'm here right now.
Yes, and it's only gonna get better from here. I mean, if you're 19 years old doing this, then you can only go up, right? I was not thinking about being a motivational speaker on anybody's stage at 19 years old.
Exactly.
So you're at a awesome stage in life where you're mature enough to
Yes.
put yourself out there into the world and create a brand and a message for yourself that really uplifts people. And you have a lot of life to live, and a lot of people will be impacted by you. I'm impacted by people of all ages. I am currently almost 40 years old in just a couple of months, and I am just as inspired by people that are 19 and 20 as I am people that are 50 years old and established.
Right.
So I think that anybody can resonate with the message of not settling and following your own dreams and intuition and really putting in the action steps to bring it to fruition. That's so important because I think that sometimes people will forget that having a dream is excellent, but then putting the persistent and consistent action steps behind it. I don't know how many people give up too early because they think that, oh, this is just too hard. I can't do this anymore. When in all actuality, most of the successful people that you see highlighted on TV, on social media, on wherever platform, they were not an overnight success. They had to put in the blood, sweat, and tears a lot of times behind the scenes, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
What are some challenges that you can foresee with your next steps, and how do you plan to overcome them? Are there any things that you're planning on telling yourself, or any kind of activities that you participate in to kind of ease those moments? What does it look like for you?
So challenges, like, are you asking me like challenges that I've faced that I plan to overcome, or challenges that I know that will come about in the next steps?
Yeah, challenges that you foresee that may come about.
I think that a challenge that may come about is, I really don't think about it because I don't expect challenges, like, not in that way, but like I know challenges will come, but it's just like I don't expect, like I don't cast them on myself. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't be like, oh, this is gonna happen, I'm gonna have to deal with this. I don't do it like that. It's just like I just go forward. And if it does come about, if something does come about that is perceived as a challenge, then in that moment I think about it. You know, it's kind of like an in the moment thing of me. Like, I don't, like, when I'm setting up a plan or setting up a new project, you know, put out there, I don't think about the challenges that are going to come beforehand, because I don't, if you know, I feel like the mind is a weapon, and if you think that there's going to be these hard challenges, then there will be those hard challenges.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you think that you're going to fail, then you're going to fail, because you placed that in your mind. So for me, it's like, this is going to work, this is what I'm doing, this is what it is. And then I just move forward, and whatever comes about, I handle it at that moment. And it's kind of crazy, because it's like, okay, so do you have a strategy? And it's like, yeah, that is my strategy. The mind is a powerful
Well, that's how I wanted you to answer that question. Because I strongly believe that too many times, if we are always thinking about the fears and the things that could go wrong, it stalls our growth. So being able to look at it from that standpoint of, if there's a challenge, I'll deal with it in the moment. You're much more likely to have that optimistic mindset to make sure that you're consistently taking those action steps.
Right.
A lot of times people are stalled by fear, and fear is what? Fear, false evidence appearing real, right?
Yep.
And you said it exactly right. Your mind is a weapon. So if you're telling yourself that, if I were to pursue this next step, all these different things are going to go wrong. Well, like you just said, all these different things are probably going to go wrong.
They're going to go wrong, definitely. And then you're going to be like, what went wrong?
Right. And all the things that you imagined that are going to go wrong.
Your mindset. You thought that it was going to go wrong before it even happened. You know, and I'm all about just doing it. Not take the risk, but take the risk. Like, do it.
Right.
Why are you worried? Why are you so worried about what would go wrong? You shouldn't expect anything to go wrong. Actually, everything's gonna go right in God's favor. So
Exactly. Thank you for answering that. I was like, I'm gonna trip her up and see how she responds to this question. But I'm glad you answered it in that way, because that right there alone is what keeps a lot of people from being their, like you said, own support system with God and carrying out their dreams. The fact that they're thinking, but if I do this, then X is going to happen or Y is going to happen. And then they never make any steps forward to it. And one of the things that I've noticed when I'm coaching people that are a little older, they're, for example, in their 40s or 50s, one of the things that they'll say is, I wish that I was prepared at the age of 20, 25 to live my purpose at that time than for me to pursue a job that I really didn't want to do. I was only doing it because my family told me that this is the path that everybody else in the family has chosen. And so you're going to do it too.
Right.
And you know, everything that we do in life does have purpose because we learn lessons along the way. But when you can enhance that purpose to live according to what brings you meaning and fulfillment, that's the special sweet spot that we want to be at, where there's meaning and fulfillment. Everything's a lesson. So I don't look at anything as something that you necessarily need to regret. You just look at that particular situation and that season in life and say, well, this is what I learned from it, and this is how I'm going to apply it to another area of my life.
Exactly. You know? And see, there's a lot of things that we say that we don't even realize that we set up our own failures and our own paths when we say things like, what if?
Right.
And, well, yeah, I could go and, shoot that video, but what if nobody likes it? Or, oh yeah, that's a great plan, but you're not going to make any money from it. You know what I'm saying? Like the little things like what if and but are the things that hold us back. And we don't even realize because we're so conscious to saying those things, but it's just like, you don't realize that you're doing it to yourself, And then a lot of times when things fall apart, we're like, oh my God, nothing went right and nobody cares and blah, 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 blah. But really, it's like your responsibility. It's you. And that's something that I'm learning at 19 as well. Like, take the responsibility, That's
Right.
something parents, of course of course they're gonna push it on you. I'm a teenager, but it's like I had to realize for myself, like I gotta take responsibility for that, and that, and I have to realize that if I don't, if I do these things, I'm setting myself back, or if I don't do these things, then I'm never gonna get there. So I have to take that responsibility. Just like if I push, that I'm my support system and it's my journey, then I have to know when I'm doing the things to hold me back.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Diahni. I appreciate you taking time to speak with us today. And you guys, all of her contact
Thank you
info
for having
in
me.
the description box, so you can collaborate with her, follow her along her journey. As she talked about, she's going to have some good stuff coming up that she doesn't want to spill all the beans right now. So
Right.
definitely follow her journey so you can see more of her story and be able to connect with her on a deeper level. And for any of you that are listening, I am a trained career counselor, and I help people identify what their purpose is in a way that's fulfilling and meaningful to them. So if you're struggling in that area, you don't quite know what career path is best for you or how to utilize your God-given gifts, and you don't know how to choose a life full of self-love, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. All of that information will be in the description box on how to connect with me. You guys have an awesome rest of the day wherever you are in the world, and don't forget to live a life full of meaning and purpose. I will talk